our Vice Chairperson Dr. S.S. Chaudhary sir and All India rank second Animesh Pradhan. Give them a big round of applause. Please be seated. All of you please sit down. Hope you all are doing very well. Animesh, I am really very honored to welcome you here. Firstly, we all would like to congratulate you on the tremendous success you have got by achieving second rank, especially in first attempt. A big round of applause. Everyone, kindly note second rank in first attempt. Heartiest congratulations to you. Now I would like to request our Vice Chairperson Dr. S.S. Chaudhary sir to present a shield to our topper Animesh Pradhan to honor him. Sir, please. Big round of applause, everyone. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Animesh. Now, without delaying further, I'll request Animesh to come and speak up about his strategies and how to crack IAS. Please.
So hello everybody. I'll give a brief background about myself. I'm Animesh Pradhan, as you guys have known. I've secured All India Rank 2 this year in UPSC Civil Service Examination 2023. This was my first attempt. Sociology was my optional. And I had graduated from NIT Rourkela with BTech Computer Science and Engineering in the year 2021. And after college, I had joined Indian Oil Corporation, and I'm still working with IOCL as Information Systems Officer. And throughout the preparation, I was working with IOC. I had not taken any extended leaves for preparation, so I was a working aspirant throughout. I am told that you guys are part of foundation course here. So I'm sure you would have a detailed timeline, strategy and everything in place already. Please adhere to that, because you guys would be in safe hands where you would have dedicated mentors and teachers who would guide you to manage your time and have these couple of years that you have in your hand to utilize in the best possible manner so that you could get the best results. I do not blindly follow any of my strategies, any of my resources, because what would have helped me might not help you. And if you could take some bits and pieces of my strategy or any tips and tricks, and if that could help you, then I think the purpose of this talk would be would met. So I had started my full-fledged preparation from February 2022. And for us, our prelims was in May 2023. So for me, it was a dedicated, consistent preparation for 1.5 years, and then the entire process takes 1 year. And but one thing which might mislead a lot of people, that for me it was not just this 1.5 years of preparation. I, as a person, was extremely aware. Like, my father and my mother come from academia. My father was a political science lecturer. My mother was a history postgraduate. So although I never picked up book neither in my college or school about UPSC, but right from childhood I was clear that I want to become an IAS officer, and the climate in which I was nurtured with parents, with peers in college, I was into debating, I used to do student journalism. So I was very aware as a citizen, and I think all those things would have helped me to clear this exam in a more seamless manner. But having said that, everybody around the 1,000 rankers would have come across this year will have a different story. Somebody would have made this a childhood dream. Somebody would have left their high-paying job and come here and change their profession. So UPSC is that beautiful thing that gives you a clean slate to start your career. Does not matter if you have an interest in humanities or not, does not matter whether you are studious or not, does not matter what your 10th and 12th scores were. UPSC is for everybody. So that's the mindset that will start while talking to, because it's not important that you relate to me. We two are very different individuals, and what we should relate to is that the same dedication and consistency through which UPSC can be cleared. Also, a bit of information just to give a more clear picture about a bit of my personal life. I had lost my father when I was in class 11th, and then During my preparation, my mother was undergoing her cancer treatment, and we lost her a month before the results were out. So for me, that was a bigger battle to fight at home, and UPSC was extremely trivial as compared to what I and my family were going through for last two and a half years. So just to say that you'll come across a lot of situations in your life, both personally and professionally, which would be extremely physically, mentally, emotionally daunting. But always remember that why did you start for this exam? And if that intent is extremely right and the passion and fire within you is that strong, then in spite of any circumstances, you will convert those emotionally challenging circumstances into your motivational factors, and probably that would have helped me as well to clear this exam in the first attempt. So we'll start the strategy between like prelims, mains, and a bit about interview I would speak as well. But mostly I would say that there's no demarcation actually for prelims and mains, but your mindset with which you study for this exam is very different for prelims and mains. Like when I started in February 2022 to till December, mid-January 2023, I had taken an integrated approach of studying prelims and mains both, and I had my optional, I did my optional during that time also. But after January, from February to May, the 4 months, four and a half months, I did only prelims exclusive preparation. So even if how many of you are appearing for 2025, if anybody? Very few, okay. 2026 or 2027, rest of you I'm assuming. Alright, so especially if you're preparing for 2025 or 2026, I would say that you can, like, for especially 2025, if you have 1 year, 1.5 year of time, then make sure you have like 3 slots in general. Like when exam is not very near, but you'll have sufficient amount of time, give 3 slots to your preparation. One is for your standard books, one is for your mains, which will be very current affairs oriented, and the third will be for your optional. So for me, I had these 3 slots. I used to get 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours on a very good day on a weekday. So I used to divide my like the entire time in 3 slots whenever I'm studying on a weekday, and I used to study 3 things simultaneously. So one slot I was studying a standard book, one I was studying for a current affairs, where from that current affairs source I was making my mains notes, and the third part was sociology, which was my optional. I'll for the standard books and the prelims, I'll tell my sources. First, more or less, it's the general source that a lot of people study. Do not chase after any of these resources like endlessly. Keep your resources as limited as possible, which everybody would say, especially for the standard books. For a lot of value addition materials and everything, I had referred a lot of coaching materials because I was preparing alone. I did not take any classroom coaching, neither online and offline per se, but I was associated with a lot of institutes because I would have picked up something for the other, for a lot of resources, a lot of free resources, honestly. And a lot of them would have held in some part or the other. So these standard books, what I'll say for prelims are more or less the same. For polity, I had studied Lakshmikant. For history, for ancient India, I had old NCERT R.S. Sharma. For medieval, I had studied one of the coaching compilations. I had not studied very thoroughly medieval India, but any coaching compilation I had studied for that. For modern India, I had studied Spectrum's, the modern history book that comes. For geography, I had relied on 11th and 12th NCERTs mostly. And for environment, I had studied, there comes a book called PMFIS. So they have a book for that. So I had studied environment from there. From economy also, there's a free book that I had got. There's an educator, there was a Vivek Singh, economy, he had a book. So I had referred that books for economy. And for science and tech, I had studied the current affairs magazine, any coaching institutions. I'm sure this is a reputed institute, you already have ready-made content prepared for you. You can refer to uh, these resources that you are being bestowed upon by the mentors and teachers here as well. So these were more or less my prelim sources, and I had given a lot of test series for prelims. Before December, like when I had not started my prelims exclusive preparation as well, then also I had given couple of prelims tests, but not very rigorously. After in February, before 4 months of actual prelims exam, I had given around 35 to 45 prelims tests. So for me, I used to give a test initially in month of February once 5 days or once a week, and then gradually started, and during the end, first week, second week of May, I was giving 2 tests in a day, so that I would get that feel of, because in the real exam you'll be spending 4 hours in the prelims exam day, 2 for general studies and 2 for CSAT. So I wanted to train myself in that way as well. But what the essence of test series is, for example, does not matter if you're preparing for 2026 or 2027. What's important is that whenever you're appearing for a test now as well, after you're giving the test, do not think the test is over. The actual benefit of a test is when you analyze your test. First, analyze that where did you go wrong, like whether there was a static part which was taught to you but you did not understand it, or second, you knew it, you understood it but you forgot it, or third is that you knew it, you revised it but the revision was not sufficient and hence you forgot it. So that's also some analysis that you have to do. Be as statistical as possible. I had an Excel sheet prepared where I used to, for the initial few tests, I used to make a table, how many of these answers that I'm making wrong, like what category does that fall under, whether it's I did not know any knowledge about it, whether I knew it but forgot it, and something, or I knew it, revised it but did some silly mistakes. So that analysis is important for any test that you do. And second, any new content that you are getting, just add on to the same standard resource. If you have a coaching material you have for let's say a topic like Panchayati Raj, and you have a MCQ test on that and got 2-3 new information, so just scribble down there as well. Do not make multiple topics के लिए multiple notes, but consolidation of notes is also extremely important. So for test series, that's important that you analyze your weaknesses and work upon it, strengthen your strengths, and whatever new information you're getting, note that down and revise them properly as well. So for prelims, this was mostly the strategy that I'll cover the standard books as one part of my slots, and then I'll start my test series 4 months before the prelims extensively, and with the test series I'm appearing, I'll revise them as well. And mostly, and that's one more important thing for prelims is that if you guys are in 2020 appearing in 2026, 2027, but after a couple of months or 1 year or so, when you'll be starting full-fledged preparation, you'll be into a full-fledged preparation, you'll understand that in prelims, no matter how much the score, max a person knows is about 35 to 40 questions on a good day. Beyond that, it's all about an educated guess, how you use your common sense and how well aware you as a person, and you'll have to make some educated risks. So that comes out of practice. No matter how many people would say you that any coaching institute cannot match the level of UPSC, or UPSC is always a 1 step ahead of any coaching institution test series, which is true. But test series help you to cognitively train your mind in a way that you'll be able to train your mind so that you'll be able to answer those questions in which you do not have complete confidence to answer. And that practice comes when you are in that habit of answering MCQs, because solving MCQs is an art in itself. So that comes out of practice, and more you sit with your test scores, why did you make a mistake, how did you make a mistake, and how you can improve upon that educated guess, that becomes very important. The second part is CSAT. If the one single most important learning I had, or one regret I had out of my preparation, was that I did not prepare for CSAT enough. And trust me, when prelims happen and when prelims results come up, there used to be 2 weeks time. I did not read during this time for mains because I thought I'll not clear this, because I did not even check the answer keys that a lot of coaching institutions release, because I thought I'll not clear CSAT because I had done terribly bad. I have a decent score of 82 in CSAT, but that is something that you have to be careful that you thoroughly prepare for CSAT, because this year also if you see the cutoff has come down to 75 point something, and that's mostly because CSAT is changing, it's becoming difficult, tougher. So first prepare for CSAT, you are under a course, I'm assuming you'll be having a course here as well for CSAT, so give enough time for that, revise and practice for that. And second is that for a lot of people who come from engineering background like me, we have all these overconfidence that we'll be able to crack CSAT only because of maths. Or a lot of people who come from humanities background will say that I'll be able to do this out of only reasoning and English comprehension or Hindi comprehension per se. But that mental blockage is extremely detrimental. You have to understand that sometime, even though you might be a literature student, but the comprehension might be super tough, but maths could be super easy. So you cannot block your mind and have this ego come in front of it that I'll do only comprehension or I'll do only maths. In CSAT, make sure that you touch upon all the questions, different 3 sections, reasoning, comprehension and maths, and you never know what part will be easy and what part will be difficult. So this is pretty common. I've seen a lot of my friends, a lot of the people who have cleared, I've talked to them. A lot of people have this thing that if I'm from engineering, I'll be able to do only maths. If I'm from humanities, then I'll be able to do only comprehension. Do not do that categorization at all. So this was more or less about prelims. For mains, if I would talk, then I had done, I think majority part of your preparation would be very mains oriented, and which should be, because at the end that would give you the rank and would ensure that you qualify in this exam. So from week 1 when I had started, I used to make mains topic wise notes. So I had my syllabus in my hand every time I was studying, and I had internalized the syllabus. So I used to follow a coaching's weekly magazine, current affairs magazine, and any topic relevant. For example, there would be a topic on renewable energy, for example. So I knew renewable energy is a part of, let's say it could be a part of geography also, it could be a part of environment as well. So I would ensure that I make a note of renewable energy in a question answer format in 1 page or 2 pages. So for you as well, like even though you'll have your coaching notes here ready, but that will be very dense and bulky. Ensure you have 1-pager notes or 2-pager notes for every topic of your main syllabus. So, and which are very current affairs oriented, because whenever you hear as well, I'm assuming, and in any coaching institutions, monthly or weekly magazines, it's not just the current affairs part. They'll give a brief background to it also. The static part also gets covered. So if I'm covering renewable energy and making a note out of it, I'll write, my notes would be in an answer format. For example, I'll start with 3-4 quotes, or sorry, 3-4 data points or 3-4 facts. And then I'll write just in a simple manner, what is the status of renewable energy, solar mein kitna hai, wind mein kitna hai, so on and so forth. Then I'll write just point wise, what are the steps that has been taken, what are the challenges as there, any best case studies, or any Supreme Court judgment about that, or any value addition material in that 1-pager or 2-pager notes, because at the end you'll have to replicate those notes in your answer only. जब भी if renewable पे if any question would come, you'll have, like your mind and revision आपके मतलब memory में ऐसा होना चाहिए कि you'll be able to replicate the same thing, because in the examination hall you'll not get time to think and write an answer. It's that you have to start and end, and there's no thinking in between. So you'll have to be so thorough with your own notes that, and you would have internalized इतना वो सब कुछ कि renewable दिखते कि वो आपको वो 4 data points आ ही जाए introduction में, and वो तभी होगा आपके notes में अगर starting में ही 4 data points हैं. And that I had done the same thing for every topic that's mentioned in the mains. So I had a bulk of my notes topic wise, GS wise, topic wise. Mains I had done from February to December I had done. So I was making these notes out of the current affairs magazines that I was reading, and in the month of November and December I sat down and saw कि किस topic पे मेरे पास notes नहीं है mains में. So I went back to yearly compilations of previous year, and unse I referred the content and made notes of my own. So the bottom line being, your topic wise notes should be ready, and you guys probably would be luckier because you would be getting here those notes in a more tailor-made way. Every note, every topic would be meticulously covered by the teachers. I did not had anybody to give me ready-made content, so I was preparing that on my own. So no matter where you get it from, ensure that you have 1-pager, 2-pager notes for every topic of the means, and you revise them as many times as you can. This was my main strategy till December, mid of January, and then after prelims results were out, since all my notes were ready, I started directly towards giving test series here as well. So before like starting my prelims preparation, I had given few mains tests as well. So I had the habit of answer writing and everything. And one more thing, I was writing answers every week, right from week 1 when I started preparation. Out of that weekly current affairs magazine I was getting, and I was giving tests on that. That was a half-length test of 1.5 hours. So I had written around 48 to 50 half-length tests from February to December. So I was very thorough with answer writing, speed and accuracy. So the more you practice, the more you would get comfortable with your content, the more you'll get comfortable with the speed as well. So if you have a answer writing sessions here or tests here, take it very seriously, very diligently, because what makes a difference is not what you gain knowledge wise, but what makes a difference is what you present to the examiner. No matter how much knowledge you will gain, at the end of the day, you do not have to do PhD in any of these subjects. You'll have to prepare for the exam, you have to clear it. Your vision, how well you are as an individual will be seen only after you clear the exam, and not that you have become this enriched, enlightened person after reading thousands of books and thousands of materials. So always in that zone that I'm clearing an exam here primarily, and secondarily I'm gaining knowledge, and not like primarily I'm gaining knowledge and usse exam clear ho jayega. You'll have to be smart enough, the competition is getting tougher, so evolve your strategy in a way ki I have to tackle, this is a problem, I'll have to tackle it this way. So that should be your idea of preparing when you're preparing mains notes. So after prelims results were out, I had given test series in 4 rounds. I used to prepare GS1, GS2, 3, 4, revise all of that in first iteration with 40 days and give 4 tests, and then the second iteration will take 20 days and give test, and then third iteration in 10 days, and the fourth iteration in 2 days, which was a simulated test. So if whenever you will be giving your actual exam after prelims, I would say that do these revisions in a way and give tests in 3-4 iterations, because by that time you will be very thorough with your answer, and physically also you need a lot of stamina while writing. You will not realize it now, but mains, more than a mental game, it's also a physically very difficult process, because on a Friday morning you'll write an essay, on Saturday you'll have 2 slots, 3 hours, 6 hours. Then Sunday you'll have again 2 papers of 3 hours. So and then after 5 days gap we'll have again 4 papers to write. It's a physically daunting game. So until unless you will not practice writing answers, you will not be able to complete the papers. And no matter what everyone says, answer every question of mains. Because a lot of people will say that it's better to answer 16 questions qualitatively than answering 20 questions. But in my opinion, who judges what is qualitative and what is not? It's you who are judging. I have written this qualitatively, but and a question that you would feel that I have written not very qualitatively, but you will see that examiner might perceive the first answer as something and award a less mark, but the one which you thought would not fetch you a lot of marks might give you more marks. Because these are very subjective papers, and the examiner could perceive it in a very different way. So it's better to write all the answers and not leave any of the questions in either GS nor in your optional. And there would be questions in every year where toppers or anybody would not know at all, at least 2-3 questions in mains as well. But what helps is your answer writing. You should be so thorough with the answer writing that by the end, whatever topic comes, you can beat around the bush and write something. Like for us, there was a question on the direction of monsoon winds and why something is called Purvaya in Bihar, things like that, and festivals during that. I'm not from Bihar and from that area, no idea about what's that, but you have read about monsoon, you have read how winds direction change, things like that in geography. So, and you can make a diagram. Ensure you answer everything, even though you do not know sufficient content you don't have, answer every question, because that helps. So this was my mains strategy. Bottom line 1, make topic wise notes of mains for every topic, give as many tests possible, and 3 is that answer writing is must. And between the prelims and mains, I had also used a lot of value addition materials. A lot of coachings come up with their compilations of Supreme Court judgments, committee recommendations, examples, facts, figures, topic wise from across all GS, which are very important. And you'll have to ensure that there's also in answer writing, everybody say that it's introduction, body, conclusion. But your introduction has to be catchy. You cannot write just a definition. The worst case, you can write a definition of the whatever the question is asking, but ensure you start every question in an innovative way. You can start with a quote, you can start with a Supreme Court judgment, you can start with a fact or figure, or you can start with a constitutional amendment. A conclusion could also be a committee recommendation, or could be about SDG goal, or something that Honorable Prime Minister would have said in Mann Ki Baat. So things like that, and a lot of these compilations come after prelims. So you can follow these for value addition. And in the body, I used to write in point wise for GS especially, where you have to, if there's a question that how Panchayati Raj helps in social justice, then write Panchayati Raj helps in social justice, and then write point wise. And when you're writing point wise, give 2 words ka heading, mini headings as well. That what is this point about, and write 1 line only. You do not have to write like fluently in full sentences in GS, but what is that point about? Write that in 2 words mein, and I used to bubble that up, or like I used to put a rectangle over that, so that you pata chale if I'm writing 10 points, what are these 10 points? Because the bottom line is ki examiner ko aap jitna you make their lives easy in checking the copies, the more marks you'll get. I mean, content is the king, like number 1, no doubt. But again, if you're writing in a way that your content is not getting its limelight, then there's no point. So you'll have to ensure that jo keywords chahiye, the way you want to write, wo dikhe examiner ko turant. You'll have to use that underline, use that boxing, and points should be very clear and demarcated. That's important. And every this body में जो points आप लिखते हो, bracket में give a value addition material, any example, any facts, any figure, or any case study, or any Supreme Court judgment, committee recommendation. Just mention that. You do not have to explain anything. So that's what I'm saying. My notes also looked how my answers would look like. जब renewable energy का कुछ answer लिखना है, I'll write point wise एक line में. तो my notes was also not elaborate कि 5-6 पेज renewable energy के बीच के पास है. If I'm writing challenges in implementation renewable energy in India, 10 points है 10 lines में, but पता है कि वो like if I'm writing this is a challenge 1, तो वो 2 word में लिख दिया, and there's a box to it, and writing the challenge, and bracket में there are facts and figures are there. So your notes should be in a way that you can replicate the same in your answer, which I think would have made a lot of difference in my preparation. So these more or less was my main strategy as well. And then interview, you do not have to bother now, but just I'll brief for 2 minutes that in interview it's more or less, it's a fun process where you will be able to sit down and know about yourself a bit more, where you come from, which the places where you had studied, the places where your parents come from, what profession you pursue, your hobbies, your interests, achievements. You sit with them, and it's a fun process. But also a lot of people say that it's a test of a personality. I disagree. It's not just your personality, but also your knowledge. It's your knowledge through which your personality is understandable. So for interview also you have to do a dedicated preparation, but you do that after mains and mains results have come out. So that's a different part. I'm sure you'll figure out when that phase comes up. But now ensure, like even if you're in 2026 or 2027, make sure you have a proper revision strategy. You're writing more answers, and it's good if you'll be able to do your own notes out of the classroom content that you're getting here. If you could make 1-pager notes out of these for every topic of mains, that would be super helpful. How many of you are with sociology optional or deciding to, I'm not sure if you would have figured out sociology will be optional, but guys have an inclination that you might take sociology as an optional? Alright, so I'll briefly touch upon my sociology strategy as well. I did not have any background in sociology. I am a computer science graduate. But I had one subject in one of the semesters related to social movements in India, because of which I was introduced to sociology as a subject. So, is there anybody who has not decided what optionals they will take? Or everybody is clear with their optionals? That's a good thing that you are thorough that what optionals will take. So that part of the battle is done. So now whatever optional you have, I'm sure you have the teachers here as well. But for me sociology, I knew that I would not be able to take a classroom content online or offline because I was working. So I had picked up one of the past year's toppers, Neha Bhosle's notes. And those were extremely comprehensive, and that was a digital note, so there's no headache of her handwriting or stuff like that. So I had mostly relied on her notes, Neha Bhosle, all there and 15 freely available in her blog. So I downloaded that for paper 1 and paper 2, and that was my base material. But I made my own notes out of that as well, and at places where I felt that the content was inadequate or I can add something. I used to also refer a book called Essential Sociology by Nitin Sangwan. So that is also one of the books that I had followed for the material जहाँ पे I felt कि नेहा मैम के notes are inadequate. So and in areas where I had no content or inadequate content, I just Google कि the topic sociology UPSC and whatever जो 2-3 आते थे ऊपर से links, I used to make consolidated notes of my own. So that way I made my notes sociology topic wise again till October, mid-October, and then I had enrolled in one of the test series as well before prelims for sociology, where I revised and gave the test simultaneously, and after prelims also I had enrolled in one of the test series. So this was my sociology strategy more or less. The more you write, the better you get with sociology. And one more thing is that newspaper reading, I would suggest, since you guys are 2026 attempt and you have 2027, read newspapers because you have time. I did not have time, so I started off with reading Hindu for 1 month or 2. I found that I could not adjust my time, I did not have time. So I shifted to coaching materials compilations, and that helped me honestly. And I think that's a smarter way to cover your current affairs, but since you have time, and to gain more knowledge and be more aware and get the context in a more broad way, newspapers is something which is very essential. You can read either Hindu or Indian Express, any one. If you are relying on a coaching material here as well, at least read the editorials if not. Because that will make you a more well aware and more opinionated person, which is extremely essential for this exam. I don't think you need to make notes out of newspaper. If you get anything very wonderful or very unique point, you can just add up that point in your already made notes of your classroom notes or anything, just scribble down that. But I don't think it's necessary to make notes out of newspaper because it gets bulkier, very unorganized, and you already would be getting a lot of materials from coaching itself here, which would be more consolidated. So relying on them would be sufficient as well. Also one more thing is that if do not like run behind a lot of resources, every topper would say, and I would agree to that, but it's okay if you are taking help from here and there in bits and pieces. For example, I had referred to a lot of answer copies of past year toppers. For example, in ethics and in essays, where I used to read their answers and picked up those diagrams, or in essays, the introduction, conclusion, or any anecdote, examples, whatever I found it was interesting, I used to make a take the snapshot of it and make a digital note out of that. So, and if you are finding any topper's notes, for example, who has a compiled quotes or has a compiled ethics, has examples, pick that up. There's no shame in like using this freely available resources which the toppers are sharing like wholeheartedly in different platforms. So you can take use of them as well. But एक टॉपर क्या कर लिया? It's नहीं कि you run behind 5 toppers and उनके notes देख रहे हो. It's one. Anybody you find कि आपके reading style से और या फिर आपके मतलब anything that suits you and you can relate to them, relate to their notes, you can follow this ready-made content as well. One more thing I'll touch upon, if any of you would prepare full time or are full time, like you'll have college or say, I'll briefly touch upon the time management as well, since I was a working aspirant. Um, I used to study mostly at the daytime, like on the early morning before going to office, because after coming to office you are not left with a lot of energy and and everything. So I used to wake up early 5:36 and I used to go office at 10:30. I used to have these 4 hours around. So I used to study three and a half hours in the morning slot. And then after coming from office, I used to study for 2 and 2.5 hours. So that used to be weekdays, and weekends I used to try to study for 8 to 10 hours. But also, I don't think you'll have a time management issue now because you have time. But if you ever come across the time management issue, try to be smart enough. For example, medieval and ancient used to be very difficult to memorize. So what I used to do is that while I'm revising the notes, I used to revise in a loud manner and record in my phone. So while I'm commuting to my office, I used to listen to those things. Or if I'm having my lunch in office, I used to listen to those things that I would have recorded in my own voice. And when you record things on your own voice, that's something that you'll be more familiar with, so the retention also increases. So you'll have to be innovative and find out these ways that will make your preparation strategy more effective. And you'll have to make the best utilization of the limited resources that you have. So more or less, these were the entire strategy that I had followed. The bottom line would be have a fixed resource list and stick to it. You can make some additions and deletions afterwards, but do not run after thousands of materials online, offline you'll get. Make it as much limited, but revise it more. Have a dedicated revision strategy. For me, it was from Monday to Saturday I used to read, and Sunday I used to pick nothing new. I used to just revise what I had studied from Monday to Saturday, and I used to ensure that I revise everything once in a month or twice in a month as well. I had this Excel sheet where I used to track कि अच्छा ये topic मैंने ये पढ़ा, next revision उसका कब होगा, and I used to color code that way also. So until unless you are accountable to such planned manner, then it becomes difficult. So have a clear-cut strategy, clear-cut timeline and everything. And that's second, key revision is extremely important. And third, give as many tests as possible, but most importantly, analyze the test and improve upon the test. And fourth, very, very important thing, please take care of your physical and mental health, more profoundly. Have a support system, be it in terms of your family, friends, your partners, anybody. But because I think more than any other suggestions, any other support like resources, your support system will be your biggest asset. This exam is extremely daunting. It's extremely boring process, I tell you, because in the first go it feels like Lakshmikant is interesting, Spectrum is interesting. In the second reading it doesn't feel the same way. Same with any of your classroom content that you will read here. After a point it feels very non-interesting, and UPSC as a journey is not a fun experience to have with, and it's a lonelier process. You tend to push people away. So you'll have to hold on to these very important people in your life, hold on to this support system, because whenever you'll feel like demotivated and giving up, these people will pick you up and you'll be able to come to track. So keep your mental health in check. If you're having issues and if you're feeling that support system is inadequate, then and you have resources, then also you can refer to professional health also. There's no shame in it, and it's therapy, online counseling or offline counseling, they also work a lot. So that would be what I would speak about my strategy, and I'm really thankful, first of all, I mean I should have said this, but thankful to the entire team at Vajirao here for like giving me this platform where I was able to share my happiness and gratitude with everybody. I was associated with the institute in my in the interview guidance program, where I had given my mock test as well, amazing feedback, and I had it helped me to boost my confidence and fill in the gaps that I had in my preparation. So thank you to the institute, and I wish everyone all the best. I hope you do real wonders.
Thank you so much, Animesh. Anyone is having any doubt or question if you need to ask something? किसी को कुछ पूछना है? No one need to ask anything? ठीक है, then let's all get up and thanks Animesh for coming and sparing his time. Thank you Animesh. Vajirao and Reddy team wishes you all the best. Thank you. Thank you so much everyone. You just need to sit back for 2 minutes and then you can leave the class. Thank you.